I'm Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, and today I'm going to be reading from a book called Black Inventors by Trusty. I've selected a story that I think you all will find very interesting. But for the purposes of the library and for your parents, here's a picture of that book in case your parents would like to purchase it for you. So today I'm going to read the story of this gentleman right here. His name is Elijah McCoy. Mr. McCoy was born in 1844 and died in 1929, but was the inventor of very many important inventions that helped to make things better, work better in our country. Imagine taking a train to visit family and friends. Every few miles, the train stops so an engineer can add oil to the engine. If you were traveling far, a trip that should take hours would take days. Now imagine working on a train going city to city to deliver logs, coal, and other important items, and having to stop the train every hour for maintenance. It would be tedious and time-consuming. That's what life was like for train passengers and workers before Elijah McCoy's invention. Elijah was one of America's greatest inventors. He created an oil cup that automatically lubricated the locomotive steam engines. Elijah McCoy was born in Canada on May 2nd, 1844. His parents, George and Mildred, had been enslaved in Kentucky. They escaped slavery on the Underground Railroad and they settled in Canada. At that time, Canada was under British rule. Elijah's father served in the British military. After his service, he was given 160 acres of land in Colchester, a town in Ontario, Canada. And that's where Elijah was born. The family stayed in Canada until the end of the American Civil War. Then they moved back to the United States and lived in Michigan. Elijah was an inquisitive boy and always tried to figure out how mechanical things worked. He would often take things apart, look at how they operated, and put them back together. His parents encouraged his interest and wanted him to learn more. They saved their money, and when Elijah was 15 years old, they sent him to Edinburgh, Scotland, to study mechanical engineering. After studying and working as an apprentice in Scotland for 5 years, Elijah returned to the United States ready to find a job and put his engineering skills to good use. Unfortunately, because of racism, no one could hire a black man to work as an engineer. Elijah ended up working as a firefighter with the Michigan Central Railroad. Elijah's work on the railroad included keeping the locomotive steam engine lubricated. Lubrication was important because as the parts of the machines rubbed together, they created thick friction and they overheated. The lubrication kept the machine parts working smoothly. But in order to lubricate them, the locomotives had to completely shut down. Elijah thought that this process wasn't efficient and that shutting the engines down wasted a lot of time. He knew that there had to be a better way to keep steam engines lubricated. While continuing his work as a firefighter for the railroad company, Elijah began studying how train locomotives worked. He wanted to see if he could come up with a better way to apply lubrication. After studying their mechanics and how they operated, he created a device that would automatically lubricate the engines without having to completely shut them down. In 1872, Elijah obtained a patent for his invention called Improvements in Lubricators for Steam Engines. A patent protects the inventor from people stealing their idea, and it proves the invention is theirs. Elijah's invention was a drip cup with a stem, a valve, and spring that could be screwed into the area that required regular lubrication. As the train kept moving and the spring bounced up and down, oil would flow from the cup to the parts of the engine that needed the oil. Meanwhile, other companies that use large machinery for production had also been shutting down their equipment periodically to lubricate their machines. When they began using Elijah's invention, they no longer had to shut down machines and disrupt production. The machines could run continuously and receive necessary lubrication at the same time. This led to an overall increase in production. Elijah did not stop after he invented the oil drip cup. He continued looking for ways to improve how machines were lubricated. He kept working and coming up with better versions to apply oil to steam engines, locomotives, and other machines. Elijah also worked as a consultant for manufacturing companies to make sure their engineers understood the proper way to install and to use his lubricators. Elijah also developed ways to enhance or improve common objects. In 1874, he obtained a patent for an improvement to the ironing board. His improvement kept the ironing board from moving back and forth when a person was ironing. In 1915, he received a patent for an invention that improved vehicle tires. Vehicle tires have grooves and treads. The grooves are the sunken part, and the treads are the parts that touch the road. Elijah's improvement was to make the tread thicker, which helped cut down on how far tires would skid. When tires don't have tread, they can skid or slide, sometimes hitting another car or causing an accident. Elijah also received patents for his designs. These included patents for a lawn sprinkler, a rubber heel for shoes, and an eraser. In total, he received more than 50 patents for his inventions. Most were for his lubricators. Many of the products that he invented, however, never had his name on them. They were assigned to others because Elijah did not have the funds necessary to mass produce and sell the products. In 1920, Elijah established the Elijah McCoy Manufacturing Company in Detroit, Michigan. He wanted to produce and sell lubricators that had his name on them. 2 years later, he was seriously injured in an automobile accident. He never fully recovered. While Elijah invented a variety of products, his most impactful invention was his lubricator, the oil drip cup, and its many improved versions. That invention modernized the railroad industry and other industries that use large machinery. The oil cup that Elijah invented became a regular part on big machinery. Over the years, other scientists and inventors tried to duplicate Elijah's lubricators, but none of these inventions worked as well as his. When buyers purchased a large machinery for their companies, they would often ask if the machine had the real McCoy. It's not certain if that expression comes directly from Elijah, but even today that term is used to specify that something is real and not imitation. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope it's piqued your interest to look at this or other books and to acquaint yourself with many more inventors and how they made our way of life better. Thank you. Take care.